Welcome, skating fans, to the GSN Global Skating Network. We got a new show ready for you, the final one before we start the long track speed skating World Cup circuit. We're super excited to bring you all the news and also very excited to give a little bit of a preview show on the whole World Cup circuit that's just about to start. We'll be going to most of the World Cups as an athlete and as a coach, so we'll give you all that insight from the stages themselves. But for now, we're going to look ahead and see and tell you guys what you can expect from those.
Yeah, and we can start off with the little recap from the Dutch and the US trials. Starting over in Holland, we had some pretty wild results. I would say let's start with the men's 1,000, which is a whole ton of new faces.
Yes. Yeah, when saying wild results, it was not so much the times, but more the names that we would see on the result list.
Yeah, more the names because it seemed like the ice was pretty fast, so I wouldn't say that those were out of the blue. But Tim Prins wins the 1,000 meter. Thomas Kroll, we did talk about having a slow start to some of these seasons, finished 11th in the 1,000. He did make the team in the 1,500, but did not make it in the 1,000, which he, let me remind you, won gold in at the last games. Hein Otterspeer also finished outside of the team.
Yeah.
Kai Verbeij didn't finish, so I don't know if they'll put him on the team at World Cups. And then Kjell did make it in third place, though. I mean, what a crazy 1,000.
But also the depth in Dutch skaters is really significant. And I think what really defines it this year is the names we will not be seeing at the World Cups. Jorrit Bergsma, out of the 5 people that were skating the 5Ks last year in the men's, only one of them made the team this year, Patrick Roast. But Jorrit Bergsma, Kars Jansman, Marcel Bosker, they're not going to be
insane. Jorrit did make it in the 10K, but 5K, no Jorrit Bergsma.
Yeah. The long distance total overall winner last year, Bo Snellink, not qualified. That's pretty unusual.
I mean, again, talk about the depth. Just for them to be able to mix it up like that is insane. And a couple, again, completely new faces. A couple of young guys that don't train with one of the pro teams.
Yeah,
they snuck their way in there. Really cool.
Across all the distances, 500 to 10K basically. On the women's side, it was also some very unexpected people that qualified for the World Cups. We did have the favorite show that they're where they should be. Jutta made the team, winning the 1,000. Femke made the team. Erin Jackson definitely made the team in the 5K.
Insanely fast, only 3 seconds off of the women's 5,000 meter world record. Didn't make the team in the 1,500. Also worth mentioning that Jutta didn't race the 1,500, so she won't be at World Cups in that race either. And Antoinette did not make the 3,000 meter team, which I know she's won some World Cups
with 4:02. She did not make the team.
Yeah, it was a whole bag of new tricks there.
Yeah,
the Dutch.
One thing that's also going to be exciting is how they're going to select the teams for the Master. They have these Master competitions about every week or every 2 weeks in the whole fall. So we're not really sure if they use the trials as the actual selection race for the World Cups. If so, it will also be a new team there. We have a skater that has not ever done a Master, but she won in a breakaway. Looking at the lap time, she finished with a 31-second lap, where Stouden came from behind with a 24.8 lap.
You got to think that they're still going to put Schouten in those mass starts. And Bergsma also did not make the mass start team according to the trials results. So we'll see who they actually use at those World Cups. But maybe he's just wanting to stay home and train through the rest of the season towards that 10K. Let's see how he can do there in Stavanger.
On the other side of the Atlantic Ocean, we also had trials here in the United States of America. The big headliner probably being Jordan Stolz breaking his own lowland world record in the 1,500 meter.
142.3 was insane. Just, again, strong all the way through the race. He does this crazy thing on the last lap of his 1,500s where he basically re-accelerates.
Yeah, it's wild.
It just drops both arms on the back stretch and then takes off again. It just, out of this world. But really impressive races from him. Also the 620 in the 5K. It was a great race. Kind of started fading in the middle and then came back. And he's just super exciting to watch.
Yeah, that'll be exciting through the whole season, all the way especially until Worlds all rounds.
Yeah, and some other surprising results. I think across the board, it was a really strong showing from the U.S. squad. So.
Some names to mention. Casey Dawson did a really fast 5K, one of the fastest in the world so far. I think it's really cool how the U.S. women have different skaters winning the 3 sprint distances.
Yep.
But all of those 3 skaters would be basically able to medal, if not even win, the same distance at the World Cups. I think that's going to be very exciting.
Yeah, really, really impressive times again from the women's side. So should be cool to mix it up maybe with Jutta over there. She's laying down some good times as well. So something we missed from our last episode actually was at the Japanese trials. We saw that a young B1, junior B1 skater,
about 16 years old,
Sasabuchi, she went 39-1 in her 500. Only 1 second, maybe just under 1 second off of winning the 500 meter at the Japanese trials. So she's going to be someone to watch over the next couple of years. Less than a second off of first place for the Japanese. That's going to be fun. Moving on to some races over in Insel, we saw that Matodej Jelinek.
Let's go with that until somebody corrects us.
The kid from the Czech Republic.
Yeah, I have a feeling that within very little time we're gonna know how to pronounce that name correctly.
Yeah, we're gonna hear it a lot from I'm sure a bunch of different pronunciations. But
622.
Yeah, 622 again with the hands on the back the whole race, which apparently
might be a thing. Like Chris Huizinga ranked second in the Dutch trials, also hands on his back every single turn. Both of them coming from inline skating, so I assume that's where they picked that up. But definitely seems to work. Aerodynamically, it makes a lot of sense, and maybe that's a new trend they're gonna start there.
Yeah, and back to the kid from Czech, he's a junior. So we're gonna have a really cool battle, I think, at Junior Worlds in that 5,000 meter.
Yeah.
And honestly, these kids might be able to compete on the international senior level as well.
So at that same competition, same weekend in Insel, we had people like Livio Wenger, Patrick Beckert, Felix Reinen, Timothy Lubineau, Andrea Giovannini, and he beat all of those people by basically 5 seconds.
Yeah, that's something to say already, and that's only his maybe second 5K ever,
second season ever.
So sky's the limit on this guy. Also heard from Insel that Giotto did a practice 10K, and it sounded like he was right about track record pace, so around a high 1240s.
Nils van der Poel's track record, not an easy one.
So it seems like he's on top form as well.
Yep.
So also in Insel, we've heard that there's a couple team pursuit teams practicing that are new to the circuit. We heard that the Belgian team, made up of Bart Swings, Jason Suttles,
and Indra Medard.
That's their squad there. They even have Matthias Vaste. I'm sure they could potentially use if need be. If you don't know, Jason Suttles he won the Berlin Marathon this year. It was him and Bart out by themselves. So really strong tandem. And honestly, the third kid just needs to hang on the back at this point.
That is quite
they're going to have a really fun and interesting team to watch this season. And we also heard that the French team have 2 teams actually training for the team pursuit as well. Sadly, though, this week, one of the teams got taken out by a girl doing a fast lap. And it sounds like the kid went to the hospital. I'm not sure if something was broken or concussion, but we'll try to find out more info on that. But
new teams on the circuit.
Yeah, hopefully some fast skating out of those guys.
Yeah. While the long track circuit is about to start, we are far into the short track season. We already had the first 2 World Cups in Canada, and I'd say the one thing I would say about that is that Canada did crazy well. They really took advantage of being at home, and they won a ton of medal in basically all the distances.
Yeah, on the men's side in this last World Cup, they won the 500 and the 1500. And I think they were both new winners to the circuit. And it looks like Stephen Dubois is in second place in the Crystal Globe competition, and William Dangenot is in maybe 4th place. So they're doing really well. I think they won the first relay, the first weekend, and then
both of them,
or one of the relays.
Yeah,
and they got second in the second relay.
But I think what's really interesting, like we talked about it, we had the girls on the preview show, and they did drop a few names from the Canadian team, but those were not the people that we saw. Like Jean-Pierre Gilles and Ricky Doak. I think that was the first time they ever won anything individually. So that was pretty cool seeing that Canada has enough skaters to just throw in there.
Very deep. And speaking of deep, the Dutch women still were able to win without Suzanne.
Yeah.
They won this last relay. No Suzanne, so
the Velsenboer sisters are definitely up there. They did take each other out in the race, and
yep.
But Except for that, they do a good job, yeah. And
Right.
the Dutch are still.
And our short track women, the one person I don't believe that they talked about is the girl that's in first right now is Kim Gilly. But she's winning the overall in the Crystal Globe competition. She looks super strong. It really seems on the women's side, there's a clear pack that's kind of out front.
Yeah.
And then everybody else is down below. So it's going to be interesting with that clear pack.
Is true.
The rest kind of bridge the gap up to that, and then once all the rest of those top dogs come back,
that'll
how
be
is it
exciting.
gonna mesh in? So very cool stuff on short track side. At upcoming weekend, they have the Four Continents also in Canada.
God, it's a very dense season there. Gotta be fun to be Canadian right now.
It's basically the same competition. Now you're just removing the Europeans, and
Yeah.
it's also a championship, so it should be fun to watch.
Though the winter is approaching, we still have one final inline skating competition left.
Yeah, we have the Pan Am Games down in Santiago, Chile. And we have Erin Jackson actually left from the U.S. Championships in Milwaukee to fly down there. She'll compete for, I think it's just 3 days competition. She'll fly straight from there over to Obihiro, Japan. I believe she gets in the day before racing starts. And then off she goes in her long track World Cup season.
That is just insane.
She has had a really wild, obviously, last couple of years since she won Olympic gold. We talked about how she's on that new show on Fox and doing well there. So,
Busy woman.
Yeah.
But I also still wouldn't be surprised if she flies in and then medals the day after.
Yeah, she's a great skater, and I don't think that's gonna deter her too much. It's also 500, so you can just get out there and shred.
Get a little bit of sunlight in.
Should be fun to watch. Looking forward to seeing how she does at Pan Am's and the World Cup season beyond. So back over to the ice here. Something that I found really interesting was Jake Paul and Jutta, as usual. We're following it just like the Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift saga. But he was actually in Heerenveen for the World Cup trials. And, he has his own betting website called Better. And he guessed her time before the race, both for the 500 and 1,000. He was a little bit further off. He said 1:13.9 and she went 1:13.6. And then he was right on. He said 37.5 in the 500.
Impressive.
37.5. So my question to you is, what do you think, or how do you feel about sports betting for speed skating?
I mean, I think it's a super cool thing. Obviously, it can only help, especially if we put a little bit of Jake Paul in there. It can only help the sport. I mean, it's going to get more popular. Right. And I think that can create a little more hype about it. We're living in the U.S. You've seen how people get with their fantasy football or
fantasy sports.
Easy stuff like that. It just creates more conversation, more engagement. And if we can get a little bit of that into skating, I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, they do have some form of fantasy speed skating online. I think there's a couple of websites you can go to, but it would be really cool to really make it a thing. And again, sports grow big time because of betting. I mean, again, at the end of the day, it is for entertainment purposes.
Yeah.
So to entertain fans, we need to get with the times and maybe open it up in some ways.
Honestly,
maybe again talk to Jake Paul. Maybe we need to figure this out.
If you see this, Jake, just leave a comment below, and we'll
you can sponsor us, and we'll help you out. We'll figure it out for you.
Talking about predictions, we decided, Mitch and I, that we're going to see if we can figure out or guess what skaters will be on the top of the podiums in the first World Cup. Start out with the sprints.
Sure.
Who'd you put first?
Okay.
The men's.
Let's see. I'll go with the men's 500 World Cup 1. I'm going to say Tatsuya Shinhama is going to be my winner. We're also going to do, if we get it right, you get 3 points. And if you got your guy or gal on the podium, that is 1 point. And we're going to see who's better throughout the season.
And all of you guys out there are more than welcome to join. Obviously, you would have to comment below before we get into the World Cup, so it would be too easy afterwards. But
You can't pick the ones that we pick. It's got to be different.
That sucks, because I was about to pick Shinhama. So different skaters. Gosh, Shinhama was a really good guess. I don't know. I'm going to say Jordan Stolz. I know he's not focusing on the 500 meters, but he is still pretty good at it. And if you pair him up with the right guy, if he gets the Shinhama draft, that's about a second off the time there, then I'll put Jordan in first position for the 500.
Okay, that's a very good guess. Women, you get to go first.
For the women's, I will say Femke Kok. She skated really well. Unlike last year, she's just had like only good time trials, and she is far ahead of the rest. Especially if we take the second fastest skater this season, Erin Jackson.
Yep.
If we take her out of that, assuming she won't have the ideal preparations for it, then I do think Femke is the big favorite, so I'll put her in first.
Okay, I'm gonna go with the wild card and say Kimmy Getz in the 500 meter.
God, I hope you're right, but
Yep.
Yeah. No, it's saying that Kimmy is really, she has been, I mean, we train with her on a daily basis, but she is very consistent. Whereas other skaters like Femke, we've seen her still be more up and down.
Yeah.
So I think that's honestly a really good guess as well.
Okay, and I'll kick it off for the men's 1,000. I'm gonna go with Jordan Stolz in the men's 1,000. I feel like it's cheating to pick Stolz every time, but I'm gonna go with Stolzy.
All right. I mean, looking at his progress this year, Tim Prins would be a good guess. I will be picking Kjell Noyce. He is a very stable skater, and usually he gets better and better as we go, into the season. So,
might as well pick him for World Cup 1.
Yes. No, but like the whole qualification process is all that stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Old men peak at the right time.
Women's 1,000.
The women's 1,000, I will take Jutta Leerdam. What a surprise! She's been winning every race, every 1,000 meters she's skated since as long as I can remember. So I feel like it's the obvious pick. I'm more curious towards who you're gonna pick.
I'm going Kimmy again. We're gonna win. For the men's 15, I'm gonna go bold one more time. Not so bold. And take Jordan.
Surprise, surprise. I feel like second place is a hard pick. There's so many people that have performed, if you make up for the altitude, different air pressure, and so evenly. So I'm gonna go with Connor Howe just because he is.
I think that's a good pick.
He's generally pretty good.
Yeah, he's already done a 142 this year, so I think he could do really well.
Brittany Bowe.
Are you going Brittany Bowe?
I'm gonna go with Brittany Bowe for the women's 1,500 meter.
Nice choice. I like it. She did have the world record at one point. Skating well, I think, in the 15s. I'm gonna go with Miho Takagi in the women's 1,500. Okay, who's your pick for the men's 1,000 or 5,000? Sorry.
For the 5,000 meter, I see it the way that there's 3 skaters that are pretty even. I'm gonna pick Sander Eitrim. He skated a 6:21.9 in Bejoggen. I've skated there, terrible rink. He broke Niels van der Poel's 5K time there, and he's quite the skater by more than 20 seconds, and he beat all the other Norwegians that are not bad by more than 10 seconds. So I'm definitely going to pick Sander Eitrim for that.
This is a tough one for me. I was debating between Roast and Giotto, and I'm going to go with Patrick Roast on the men's 5,000. Moving on to the women's 3,000 meter. I've taken Irena Schouten. She's already skating really well in the 3K and 5K, so she's my pick for the 3K.
I'll pick Marijke Gronewoud.
Pronunciation.
She was second at Dutch trials, and I think it's between her and some of the Canadian women that've done really well. We got that young Japanese girl skating quite fast, but yeah, I could see her, and she's been improving over the last few seasons, going from marathon skating, inline skating into long track. So that's my pick.
Okay, what do you got for the women's mass start?
For the women's mass start, I have Irene Schouten. She's been basically unbeatable unless she lets her teammates win it for so many years now.
Okay, and then I will go on the other side, and I'll take Marijke Groenewoud.
Fair deal. So it basically comes down to team tactics.
Yes, the women's TP. Who do you got?
That one is a tough call. I will say Canada because they skate together, they train together. The three Canadian girls, they did really well at their trials, so I think they got a good team dynamic, and I'm putting them in first. Okay,
I like that, and I'm going to go with the Netherlands on this one. I think they've got a pretty strong squad as well. They can kind of put whoever they want in there. So I'm going to go with Team Netherlands for the women's team pursuit. One we just skipped over was the men's mass start.
True that.
And who do you got there?
Jordan Stolz is still not skating it, so I will be putting in Viktor Thorup. He's been looking really good at practice, and it is just hard to imagine any other skater right now beating him.
Yeah, I like that pick, but I'm gonna go with Bart Swings.
Bold move.
He tends to go pretty good in the mass starts. I will not bet against Vic though. I'm just saying, but I'm gonna go with Bart.
team pursuit?
Men's team pursuit. I believe it's my pick first. I'm going to go with Team USA. They have the world record and a really strong squad. They also, I think, are the best at the actual pushing or staying together as a unit for now. I know the rest of the world's getting better at it, but I think they're still the team to beat.
They do have the advantage compared to a lot of the countries that have too many skaters, basically, to know their teams ahead of time and to be able to practice skating behind or in front of the people they're going to race with. That said, I will pick the Netherlands as my winner simply because the level is so high that, again, they could just put whoever they wanted, they would be up there amongst the medals.
You're going with the talent. I don't blame you. Okay, this is going to be an interesting one. Who do you have for the mixed gender relay?
The very first mixed gender relay World Cup ever. I am going to go with the Dutch. We don't know who's going to skate it, but one thing we know for sure is they got a lot of skaters to pick between. So I think whoever they end up putting in the mixed gender relay, they're going to be two good skaters. Whether they've trained together or not, we have no idea, but we also don't know that for any of the other countries. So I think just the Dutch are pretty good at speed skating. So
yeah, there's a few countries that have one really strong male and one really strong female. But for me, I think I got to go with the U.S. team. The combo of Jordan and Kimmy, I think, as long as both of them choose to do that race, I think they will be really good because it's just an interesting combination of, the woman does the start and it's kind of an interval-based race. So I think that the two of them are both fast and strong. So
that makes
a good
a lot
combination.
Of sense. And they've both done a bunch of short track, and I feel like when you get pushed into a flying lap in the inner, it might not be a bad thing to be able to do some wild corners.
Yep. So also speaking of the mixed gender relay, I think that's it for our predictions. But there's an interesting piece in the new rules where the mixed gender relay and the team sprint are combined points. The man and the woman's points will go towards their respective genders' team sprint points, but it's going to be all under one category. So something to look out for as we go forward, that you kind of need to be good in mixed gender and team sprint to be consistent throughout the World Cup.
A very odd combination of races of different genders and even sort of distances to put in the same World Cup ranking. But
also because it's only one man and one woman of that team sprint team that will be part of the mixed gender relay squad. So kind of odd that they're combining those points, but
we do know for a fact that the ISU is really on a roll with these odd changes in their paragraphs. So keeping it on.
Yep, keep it going.
Time for the trivia of the episode. What was our question last week?
Our question last week was how many skaters have won both the World Sprint Championships and the World All-Around Championships?
Tough one.
Did we know the answer? We did not. We had to look it up. It was 6 skaters. It was 2 males and 4 females that have won both World Sprints and World All-Arounds.
That's a lot for something that crazy to achieve that. That's 6 people done that. That's impressive.
Yeah. A lot of good skaters on that list. For our trivia question next week, what do we got?
Speaking of incredible achievements, for next week, you will have to guess which skaters, there's 2 of them, that are currently participating in the World Cup circuit that have been to both the Summer and the Winter Olympics Games in the past.
That's a very good question. Also a very incredible feat to be an athlete in both.
I'm looking forward to see if you can guess that one.
Put that in the comments below.
To invite all you guys to participate in these predictions, we're going to leave in the description here below, we're going to leave all the different distances and an empty mark next to them. So if you copy paste that into the comment section and then leave the names of the people you think will win each of those distances. If you get them all right, we will, here at the GSN, give you guys
free tickets to any of the World Cups that you would like. Not your plane tickets, but free tickets to the event for all 3 days. And you'll get some GSN gear, maybe a hat, shirt combination. But you got to get all of them right, all the winners right of the men's and the women's for any single World Cup this season.
Free tickets, everything included except for accommodation and travels and food.
We got you covered. Specifically, tickets only. They're also only $5. That's a deal.
Yeah. Should we make it like a cool ping pong where it's like, thanks a lot for watching, and then Mitch says, don't forget to subscribe, and I say, stay tuned for next episode.
Peace.
We do like a mic switch. And then you could.
That seems like a lot of work.
Thank you so much for watching this video.
Make sure you comment and subscribe.
And stay tuned for the next episode of GSN.
Thanks for tuning in.